Hey everyone. You know how we're always told to drink like 8 glasses of water a day?
Mm-hmm.
It's everywhere, right? Like doctors are saying it, fitness people, even back in school, I remember hearing that.
Yeah, it's pretty common advice for sure.
But is it actually true? I mean, does everyone really need that much water? That's what we're looking at today.
Sounds like a good one.
Yeah, we're going to do a deep dive into this whole 8 glasses a day thing, see where it came from and what the science actually says about it.
All right.
I'm really curious about this one.
Yeah, well, it's good to question these things. This advice, the 8 glasses a day, it's not as simple as it sounds.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it goes all the way back to the 1940s.
Wow.
From a recommendation from the U.S. Food and Nutrition Board.
Ah, so it's like a vintage health tip?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay, so what did they say back then?
Well, they suggested that adults should be drinking about 2.5 liters of water every day.
Okay.
Which, if you do the math, that's roughly 8 glasses.
Right.
But, and this is where it gets interesting, the board's recommendation, it included all fluids, not just plain water.
Wait, so all this time we could have been sipping on juice, tea, coffee, and it would have counted?
Exactly. It seems like that little detail got lost over the years, leading to this big focus on plain water.
That changes everything.
It does, right? It makes you wonder how such a basic message could get so, twisted over time.
Seriously. But okay, so if it's not just about chugging water all day long, what does modern research say about how much we should actually be drinking?
Well, modern research shows that it really depends on the individual.
Okay.
Our fluid needs are highly individual.
So there's no magic number that works for everyone.
That's right. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to this.
Okay, so ditch the rule book and listen to our bodies.
Yeah, exactly. Things like your body size, how active you are, even the climate you live in, all of that can affect how much fluid you actually need.
That makes sense.
Like someone who lives in a hot, humid place is probably going to need to drink more than someone in a cooler, drier climate.
Right. Makes totally sense. Kind of like how some people do well with a strict routine, while others need more flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
We've all got our own rhythms and needs.
Exactly.
Okay, so if we're not paying attention to those individual needs, what kind of problems can come up?
Well, think of it like this. Ignoring your body's signals for hunger can lead to overeating or undereating.
Right, makes sense.
Same with hydration. Not paying attention to your hydration cues can also have some negative effects.
So what are those cues? Like, how do we know if we need to drink more? I'm thinking things like feeling thirsty, obviously.
Yeah. Thirst is a big one.
But also like when you feel kind of sluggish or get a headache.
Those are definitely signs.
Could that be our body saying, hey, I need more fluids over here?
Absolutely. Those are some common signs of dehydration, along with things like having darker urine, dry mouth, feeling dizzy, even muscle cramps sometimes.
Okay.
Those are all pretty clear signals that you should be paying attention to.
Yeah, definitely. You know, what's really interesting to me is how this whole idea of individual needs, it actually connects to something else that's important to our listener.
Interesting. What's that?
Learning English.
Oh, okay. Tell me more.
Well, just like overdoing it with water can be a bad thing. Trying to cram tons of English study into one day is not very effective. It's like chugging a gallon of water all at once. Your body can only handle so much at a time.
That's a great analogy. You're right. Both hydration and language learning, they do better with consistency, regularity. Instead of these big, overwhelming study sessions, it's better to have smaller, more frequent bursts of English in your routine.
Exactly. It's like taking sips of water throughout the day instead of trying to gulp down the whole bottle in one go.
Exactly. These smaller, more consistent exposures, they give your brain a chance to really absorb and process the language naturally. It's all about creating a sustainable rhythm that works for you.
So instead of cramming for hours, maybe try listening to an English podcast for like 10 minutes on your commute. Or reading a short article online. Even spending a few minutes each day just thinking in English. Those small steps can add up.
They really can. And just like we talked about with hydration, it's crucial to pay attention to how you're feeling during your English practice. If you're feeling overwhelmed or frustrated, that might be a sign to take a break or maybe change your approach a little.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Learning shouldn't feel like a chore. It should be enjoyable.
Absolutely. And you know what? There's another cool connection between hydration and language learning. English has a ton of idioms that are related to water.
Oh, I love that. It's like our language is reflecting our everyday experiences.
It is.
Even something as simple as water has inspired all these colorful expressions.
It really is remarkable. And these idioms, they not only add flavor to our language, but they also give us insights into how we think about abstract ideas using these familiar images.
So what are some of these water-related idioms? I bet our listener would love to learn some new expressions.
Okay, let's start with a classic, break the ice. Have you ever been in that situation where you're feeling awkward, unsure how to start a conversation with someone new?
Oh, all the time. especially in like social situations.
Yeah, it's like you're frozen, you don't know how to make a connection.
Exactly.
Well, that's where break the ice comes in. It
Sure.
means to do something to kind of ease that tension,
Okay.
to get the conversation flowing.
Like at a party, someone might break the ice by asking, "So how do you know the host?" or something like that.
Exactly. Perfect example.
Just a simple question.
It's a way to create a more comfortable atmosphere.
Yeah. And speaking of flowing, another great one is go with the flow, right?
Ooh, that's a good one.
It's all about being adaptable, flexible.
Just like water adapts to the shape of its container.
Right. So imagine someone's learning a new language. They hit some bumps along the way. Instead of getting discouraged, they embrace those challenges.
Mm-hmm.
They go with the flow, knowing that it's all part of the process.
I love that. It's a reminder to be patient with ourselves.
Not get too hung up on being perfect.
Exactly. Now, on the flip side, when things aren't going so smoothly, we might say we're in deep water.
Ooh, yeah, in deep water.
Meaning we're in trouble or facing a really difficult situation.
Oh, I know that feeling. Like when you accidentally oversleep and miss an important meeting.
Yeah, you're definitely in deep water then.
Big time.
That idiom, it really gives you a sense of danger, uncertainty, like being snuck out in the deep ocean.
Yeah, it does. And then there's feeling like a fish out of water, which perfectly captures that feeling of being out of place, uncomfortable in a new environment.
Right, like think of someone who's just moved to a new country, still adjusting to the culture and the language. They might say, I feel like a fish out of water here.
It's a feeling everyone understands, no matter what language they speak or where they come from.
It's a universal feeling. We've all had those moments of feeling lost or out of sorts.
Totally. And then we have pour your heart out, which is all about expressing your feelings openly and honestly.
Ah, that's a good one. It's like when you're talking to a close friend after a breakup or sharing something really personal with someone you trust.
Yeah, just letting it all out.
It's about releasing all those emotions, sharing your innermost thoughts and feelings.
These idioms are so powerful.
They are.
They add so much depth and nuance to the way we speak.
It's like adding a splash of color to your conversations.
Speaking of splashes, we've covered some great water-related idioms so far, but I think we have a few more to explore, right?
We do.
I can't wait to hear what else we've got.
Yeah, we've just dipped our toes in. There's a whole ocean of expressions out there.
Ooh, love that. So everyone stay tuned, because we'll be back with more insights and linguistic treasures after a quick break.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back to quench your thirst for knowledge.
I love it. All right, we'll be right back.
Welcome back. We were just starting to dive into all these interesting water idioms in English.
It's really cool how something as basic as water can inspire so many expressive phrases.
It is. Okay, so let's jump again with one that I bet a lot of you have heard before, treading water.
Oh yeah, treading water, that's like when you're putting in effort but not really getting anywhere.
Exactly, like you're stuck in one place, just trying to stay afloat.
Exactly. Think about working on a tough English assignment. You study and study, but you don't seem to be understanding it any better.
That's when you might feel like you're treading water, for sure.
Or maybe you've reached a plateau in your language learning. It's like you're not improving as quickly as you were before.
That's another good example, and it's normal to feel that way sometimes.
For sure. But it's important to remember that progress isn't always a straight line, right?
Exactly. There will be times when you feel stuck, but the key is to keep practicing, to keep pushing yourself, even when it feels like you're not moving forward.
So true. Okay, so we've talked about feeling stuck, but what about when things are going really well? When it feels effortless?
Then we might say we're sailing along.
Sailing along, I love that one.
It just sounds so smooth and easy, doesn't it?
It does. Like a ship gliding across a calm sea.
Exactly. It's that feeling of ease, of making progress without any struggle.
Like when you're having a conversation in English and the words just come out naturally.
Yes, you're not worried about grammar rules or searching for vocabulary. You're just sailing along with confidence.
Exactly. It's such a great feeling when you can communicate easily like that.
It is. Okay, so now let's shift gears a little. Sometimes we come across ideas or concepts that are hard to grasp.
Right?
We might say they're murky or unclear, like a muddy river.
Murky, I think that word. It really captures that feeling of confusion.
It does, right? It could describe a complicated grammar rule, a confusing news article, anything that's difficult to understand.
It's like trying to see through fog. Everything is hazy and you can't quite make out the details.
Exactly. But just like a muddy river can eventually clear up with time and effort, those murky concepts will become clearer.
They will. The important thing is to be patient and persistent in your pursuit of understanding.
Could have said it better myself. Okay, here's another good one. Test the waters.
Oh yeah, test the waters. That's a crucial one.
It is. It means to cautiously check out a situation before you fully commit to it.
Like dipping your toes in a pool to check the temperature before jumping in.
Perfect analogy. You want to get a sense of what you're getting into before you go all in.
So for instance, if you're thinking about joining an English conversation group, you might test the waters by attending a meeting or two first.
Exactly. Or maybe you're considering taking a challenging English course, but you're not sure if you're ready. You could test the waters by talking to the instructor or some other students.
Right. It's always a good idea to gather information and explore your options before making any big decisions.
Absolutely. After all, you don't want to find yourself in over your head.
Oh, in over your head. That's a good one to talk about next.
It is, isn't it? It really captures that feeling of being overwhelmed, out of your depth.
It's like suddenly realizing you're in the deep end of the pool when you can't swim. You panic because you're not prepared.
Exactly. It's that feeling of facing something that's too much to handle. It could be a demanding job, a difficult course, even a challenging relationship.
Right. For example, if you get a really complicated English assignment that seems impossible, you might feel like you're in over your head.
That's a great example. Or maybe you agreed to give a presentation in English, and now you're feeling the pressure.
Oh yeah, that's definitely an in over your head moment. But even when we feel that way, it's important to remember that we can keep our heads above water.
Ah, yes. Keep your head above water. That's all about resilience, finding ways to cope and not give up.
It's like when you're first starting to learn English and it feels so overwhelming, you're just trying to keep your head above water and not get discouraged.
Right. Or maybe you're juggling work, family, and English studies, and you're feeling the pressure. You might say, I'm just trying to keep my head above water with everything going on.
Exactly. It's about finding ways to manage stress, to prioritize, to ask for help when you need it.
Couldn't agree more. So we've talked about feeling overwhelmed, but just like learning to swim takes time and practice, so does mastering a new language.
It does. It's a journey with ups and downs.
It really is. And then just as a gentle stream can carve its way through solid rock, so too can consistent effort lead to fluency.
I love that analogy. So we've been so focused on these great idioms, I almost forgot we have a few more to cover.
We do. There are still some hidden gems out there.
Okay, I'm ready to dive back in. What else have we got?
Let's see. How about this one? Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Now that's a colorful one.
It is, isn't it? It basically means don't get rid of something valuable just because you're trying to get rid of something you don't want.
Okay, so how would we use that in real life? Give me an example.
Sure. Think about when you're trying to improve your English writing. You want to make your sentences shorter, clearer, but you don't want to lose important details or change the meaning completely.
Ah, I see. So you're streamlining but not oversimplifying.
Exactly. It's about being careful and thoughtful in your approach, not going overboard.
Okay, that makes sense. What about water under the bridge? I've heard that one a lot.
Ah, that's a classic. It refers to things that happened in the past that aren't important anymore.
Like bygones be bygones.
Exactly. It's about letting go of past events and moving on.
So, for example, if someone apologized for something they did a long time ago,
You could say, hey, it's water under the bridge. No worries.
it's about forgiveness, right?
Yes, and focusing on a present in the future, not dwelling on the past.
Makes sense. We've covered so many great idioms today.
It's been a real deep dive.
It has. We talked about breaking the ice, going with the flow, feeling like a fish out of water, pouring your heart out.
And treading water, sailing along, murky concepts, testing the waters.
Oh, and being in over your head, but keeping our heads above water.
That's right. It's amazing how many expressions are connected to water.
It really is. And just like those 8 glasses of water, these idioms are best learned a little bit at a time.
Absolutely. Small, regular doses. Try using a few of them in conversations this week. You'll be surprised how much they can enrich your communication.
It's all about making English learning a part of your daily life.
Exactly. Find what works for you. Just like with staying hydrated, listen to your intuition and find a rhythm that you can stick with. And most importantly, enjoy the journey.
That's great advice. So to wrap things up, we've busted the myth of the 8 glasses a day rule.
Right. It's about individual needs, not a magic number.
We've also explored a whole ocean of water-related idioms.
And made some connections between staying hydrated and learning English.
Exactly. So remember, be patient with yourself, celebrate your progress, and don't be afraid to make mistakes.
And keep practicing. Those small steps make a big difference over time.
Absolutely. Until next time, happy learning, everyone.